I've been lying to my husband and daughter for the past 5 months, not about something bad, about something I was terrified to who were my husband. And I started trying for a second baby right after our daughter turned 2. We were so sure it would be easy. It was easy the first time, 8 weeks in. I was already picturing the nursery colors, then I miscarried at 9 weeks. We were devastated, but the doctor said it was common. First loss is often. So we tried again and again. I got pregnant, and again I lost it this time. At 11 weeks, right after we'd heard the hearty, that one broke something in us. We took 6 months off, got some counseling, decided to try one more time. The third pregnancy made it to 14 weeks. We told my daughter she was 4 1/2, and so excited she started the baby Sunny. She drew pictures of the 4 of us. She asked me every morning if Sunny was awake yet. I lost that one on a Tuesday while my daughter was at preschool. When I picked her up, she ran to me with a painting she'd made, our family with a tiny yellow circle between me and my husband. I held it together until we got to the car. Then I sat in the parking lot 20 minutes before I could drive. We stopped telling her after that. Before pregnancy, we kept completely quiet. I lost it at 8 weeks. My husband held me on the bathroom floor, and neither of us said a word for a long time. After that, we stopped talking about it much between ourselves. We'd try, I'd test, we'd hole quietly, then grieve quietly. It became this private rhythm of loss we carried like something. By the time I took that test in October, I had stopped expecting good news. I was in the bathroom at 6 in the morning, still half asleep. I looked down, fully prepared to feel nothing, and then there were 2 lines. I sat on the edge of the tub for a long time. I didn't wake my husband up. I didn't cry or scream. I just sat there holding the test, feeling something I can only describe as terrified joy, like happiness, with a hand over its mouth. I made a decision. Right then, I wasn't going to tell anyone. Not yet. I know how that sounds. But every time we let ourselves believe we got destroyed, every time we said the words out loud, the pregnancy ended. I'm not superstitious, but grief will make you superstitious. So I lied. I told my husband my mood swings were from I wore the same oversized gray hoodie every day and said I was cold when my daughter asked why I wasn't eating dinner. I said my stomach was being weird. When my husband suggested I see a doctor about my fatigue, I said I already had and everything was fine. I went to every appointment alone, parked 2 blocks from the clinic, saved the ultrasound photos and a hidden folder on my phone scheduled appointments during school drop-off so I wouldn't have to explain my OB was the only person who knew she didn't push me. She just kept saying everything looks good, baby looks strong. Every time I nodded and drove home alone and let myself heal it in the car where Noon could see me. The weeks passed, 12, 14, 16. I kept waiting for something to go wrong every morning. I did it. Do I still feel pregnant? Is anything different? And every morning the answer was yes. Still here, still going. 18 weeks, 20. I started to think it might actually be real. Then at 22 weeks, I went in for the anatomy scan. The room was quiet and I was holding my breath without realizing it. The tech said, "Do you want to know the sex?" I said yes. She turned the screen and said, "It's a girl, a girl." She was kicking full little kicks like she was already impatient. She had my husband's nose. I could see it on the screen. This tiny profile unmistakably his. I didn't cry in the room. I thanked the tech, got my photos, walked to my car, and fell completely apart. 40 minutes in that parking lot, ugly, crying in a way I haven't since the 3rd loss. But it wasn't. It was 5 months of held breath, finally letting go. I drove home. My husband was making pasta. My daughter was at the kitchen table drawing. She draws constantly. The radio was on. The dog was asleep under her chair. Just a normal Tuesday. I stood in the doorway and looked at them. Then I said, "I have to tell you both something." My husband turned around. My daughter looked up with her marker still in her hand. I pulled the ultrasound photo out of my bag and held it up. She stared at it for 2 seconds. Then she screamed, not scared, pure 6-year-old joy, loud enough that the dog bolted under the couch. My husband didn't scream. He just stood there with the wooden spoon in his hand, staring at the photo. His eyes filled up. He didn't speak. Then he looked at me and said, "How long?" I said, 5 months. He nodded, and then he started crying. He never even put the spoon down.